G'day, ZiggyD here with some news for the upcoming asymmetric multiplayer shooter, Evolve. Now I have three pieces of news for you guys today for Evolve. First regarding the DLC for the game, second regarding a new game mode, and the third will be about the beta and launch of the game. Now the first piece of news comes in from IGN, where they had a chance to interview the creative director Phil Robb. And the important piece of news that came out of that interview, which they discussed a few different things, was that all of the DLC maps for the game will be completely free. Now, Phil Robb said that the reason for this was the first thing that the Evolve's creative leads decided was that they can't break the community up, so all of their maps were going to be free. They never wanted anyone to get booted off a server because they haven't bought something. Now, I have to say this is a great initiative. We're seeing a little bit more of this trend happening now with multiplayer shooters, and I certainly remember in the past playing games like Call of Duty where I didn't really have the money to afford something like an Xbox Live subscription and also buy map packs for games. So I'd often either get kicked out of lobbies in some games, or I just wouldn't be able to join groups with people that had those games. So the community really got divided up, and it was always a shitty kind of feeling to be punished for not being able to buy that stuff. So this sort of solution is obviously the optimal one for consumers, because basically we get all of that additional content that they develop to keep the life and interest in the game for free. So obviously their plans in terms of monetizing the game post-launch will be through the sale of new monster types and new hunter classes as well. However, on a bit of a similar note to the first piece of news about free maps, you will also be able to play games with people that have purchased different monsters and hunters that you don't own. So just because you don't own the monster that you're playing against in a match, you're not going to get booted from the match, you're still able to play against them. This will also mean that you can kind of see them in action before you go ahead and buy them as well. If you wanted to take a slightly more cynical approach to it, which I know some of you guys like to, then you could say that having you be killed by a new monster that was released would encourage you to buy that DLC so you could go ahead and stomp as that new monster. Though nonetheless, the most important thing is that you won't be kicked out of matches for not owning any DLC in Evolve. So on a similar topic here, Phil Robb also noted that pre-ordering the game will get you the first monster DLC for free, which will be the fourth monster release. There are 3 coming with the base game. Now I have to add my own cautionary word against pre-ordering games in general. Many gamers have been burned through pre-ordering AAA titles recently that didn't really pan out. Obviously, you take a risk upon yourself if you pre-order a game of not being able to check out any reviews for the full game before it's launched. Now the Evolve beta, alpha and everything has looked great so far, but you never know what happens at launch. So just always take a bit of caution when it comes to pre-ordering games. So the next piece of news is on a new game mode. Now, we've only had the Hunt game mode for a while, and although it's quite fun, I think a lot of people agree that the game won't have too much longevity if that's all that's being released. But they have confirmed that there will be multiple game modes coming with Evolve, and in that same interview, there was a bit of a teaser towards a new game mode named Nest Mode. Now in Nest Mode, the monster must defend scattered eggs from the hunters. So essentially there's something like 6 eggs, and the hunters have to kind of work together to destroy each of those eggs to prevent the infestation from getting out of hand. Now to make the mode kind of a bit more interesting, the monster gets the option of sacrificing one of the eggs to hatch it to summon a companion monster to help fight the hunters, so obviously bolstering his ranks. Obviously, however, this does put the hunters closer to their victory goal, as hatching an egg sacrifices one of those eggs. It's kind of a bit weird, but essentially there's one less egg for the hunters to kill, which means they're a little bit closer to the victory conditions, but then they have to fight against a larger monster force. So there's an interesting sort of strategy that I can see that will come out of this. And then the final piece of news is that January 15th is the scheduled Xbox One only beta. Unfortunately, no love for PC, but we did get our PC only alpha earlier. Now, actual launch is currently forecast for February. However, there is no word on if there will be a PC or PS4 beta prior to launch. However, I do imagine that there will at least be a small one for stress testing purposes. It would be a bit silly to launch the game without having kind of like an open beta to sort of get a lot of numbers in there and test how things work and make sure the game isn't too broken before launch. So anyway guys, hopefully you enjoyed this update for Evolve. I do have a bunch of extra content coming for Evolve. I managed to go to Sydney recently and capture a heap of footage, a heap of games, and I'm going to be able to make some guides about different hunters and monsters and things like that. So make sure if you're just checking this out and you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to do that. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.